So currently I've got three things. I've got a weekend, a grandson I don't see enough of, and a coffee table I found in a skip. Now you've got to put those three things together, haven't you? And obviously what I'm thinking of doing is making my grandson some wooden toy or other. Now this thing, actually, when I picked it up I couldn't really believe my eyes. It's made of mahogany. Now mahogany was one of those timbers you used to find everywhere. It was like a really cheap timber. We made lots of furniture out of it, garden furniture, front doors, just tons of stuff. And I guess that's because we were busy raping the rainforests. Now, of course, we can't do that anymore, and awesome! But mahogany has more or less disappeared in the UK. You just can't find it for love nor money, really. It's quite an expensive wood. It's difficult to find, and it used to be furniture absolutely everywhere. Now this coffee table has actually yielded loads of parts. I mean, I've got these legs, they're tapered, but there's four of those. There's the stretchers, there's a coffee table top, there's a shelf in between. It's a lot of mahogany, and mahogany is obviously a beautiful wood. So I'd like to use mahogany. Now, quick thing about mahogany, the dust isn't supposed to be good for you, so you might be wanting to wear a mask if you're going to be doing a lot of dust. But to my mind, the more serious thing actually is if you're recycling old furniture and you find it, do check it for woodworm, do check it for rot, because you don't want to be bringing woodworm into your house. But it's easy to spot it. Anyway, the thought is to make my grandson a toy. So let's cut out some parts. Okay, it's kind of a lot of parts actually, which is kind of cool. Okay, so this is the chassis and wheels. This one is obviously a stringer from the table, and I've doweled them through, put two stringers together, drilled out the axle holes and rounded off the edge. So that's the main chassis. Now the axles themselves are a bit of broom handle, and they fit in there, and I sanded that and sanded it so it was loose and would turn. These are obviously from the table top. Now when I cut these from I first cut a large circle, the 100mm hole saw, and then I cut that out of the centre because that I want for something later, and that'll be clearer later. So these fit together obviously by popping those on there. We have to trim them down later. This little thing here just acts as a support piece and make sure that everything's braced apart. Pop that one in. And that's the chassis together. Now I've also cut some light wood as bumpers that will be on there like that, and then there's a bit there that goes here which begins the cab, because I took one of these, cut it in half, and I have a couple of mud guards, so those mud guards will go on there like that. That's it. Now I'm probably going to drill a couple of holes in here and just whack some here and here and whack some dowel in to make imitation lights. But all I have to do now is fix that chassis together. Okay, so there's those parts assembled to give me the chassis. And now I need a cab, obviously. A cab's really easy. It's just some blocks of wood and you lay them up to look a bit like a cab. I mean, let's face it, 2-year-olds are not that discriminating. So that will be the cab, and then these wheel arches will go attached to there, so we get the cab and the chassis. Now, as I say, my grandson is 2, and he's got a thing about building vehicles, which I think is awesome. He's got a bulldozer, he's got a tipper truck, so I'm going to make this a cement lorry. And of course, I saved these rings, so what I'll be doing is putting those rings together and a cap piece on it so that we get an actual cement lorry out the back. So the next thing to do really is put the cab on. I mean, obviously the whole thing needs a sand and a finish, but let's get the cab attached. Okay, it's getting pretty near finished. There's the chassis that we saw before all put together, and here are the bits that we assembled for the cab. Remember, it was only 1, 2, 3, 4 bits for the cab backboard, and then these two arches. These two arches were a ring left over from cutting that. The cab actually just fits on like that there, so that makes the thing. Now obviously that could be anything at all. It could be a tipper, it could be a dumper, it could be a flatbed. You can make it into anything. But like I say, my grandson has quite a collection of these things, so I'm making him a cement truck. Now I took those 3 rings, clamped them together, put some dowels through, cut 2 more rings, put them on. I've put a 22mm skater bearing in here because I want it to turn, and then I've cut a hole in that so it is actually a cement truck. Now it just needs something to hold it. These things are what were left over from cutting these discs, so I've cut them in half and they'll go on there like that. Then I've got yet another disc. Funny how so much is made of discs. That disc will get attached to there, an 8mm bolt will stick through it, and then that will slot onto the 8mm bolt, and that will be our cement truck finished. So that's what the support looks like when it's put together. Now that's an olive fitting on an 8mm bolt, because that means that that bit there will hit the olive and it will turn freely, and then the drum goes onto the support, and then that's it. So that support now goes onto the back here of the truck. Okay, and that's it finished. Now I put tung oil on it, mostly because apparently you use tung oil in things like salad bowls, so I guess if a 2-year-old is going to lick it, then it's like licking a salad bowl. So I put tung oil on. There are no screws or nails in it, it's all doweled and glued, so that's going to be particularly safe. I've made it obviously quite robust. Love the chunky design, to be honest. Now, I know it's not something that we usually do, but hey, sometimes you've just got to chill out and have a bit of fun, and I found this spare bit of furniture, like I say, and I wanted to do something with it, and I wanted to do something for my grandson as well, and that's what I came up with. So I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope it gets sparked some ideas, and thank you very much for watching.